Hello, I am nmariusp and this is my algorithm for starting programming for KDE. This is the document if you want to start programming for the KDE community. Many people try to start or signal that they want to start, but few people actually start programming for KDE. It's a problem of commitment, so it's really good if you can actually commit to program for KDE for maybe a couple hours a week, but each week and for a long period. Okay, and this document contains what nmariusp, which is me, I think of your journey, what you should do. If I were in your shoes, this is what I would do. Okay, this is not a document endorsed by the KDE community. This is my own personal ideas. Okay. So as glossary, I have OS, which is operating system, VM, which is a virtual machine, CPU is a central processing unit. Let me introduce myself. So I am nmariusp. I have this YouTube channel. I have this description. These are the videos. Half of the videos are for how you start programming for KDE. Others are for some technologies that I know and or I learn, such as HTML Domino. Okay. I did a number of merge requests. I need to be logged in order for you to see this list. Okay, and I did some edits on the KDE wiki. Okay. Most of them, again, for the part where people start programming for KDE. Okay. So now my YouTube videos are 1080p, which is fairly large. People usually create videos that are readable, so the fonts inside of the video is readable also on mobile phones. This is not the case for me. What you see right now, this is the size of fonts that I use, and the fonts will not be readable on a mobile phone, so please do download my YouTube videos, so they are screen recordings. Download them on your computer and watch them there with your favorite video player. You should download 720p, it's more than enough, although the original video on YouTube is 1080p. If you download the 720p version, that's more than enough. Fonts will be readable. Okay, and you don't want to keep using the YouTube player and scroll back and forth, because you're just going to create all sorts of costs for YouTube, and the scrolling will never be as instant as it is when you actually download the file locally, the video file locally, and you play it in a video player. Okay, also the upscaling from 720p is better when you play it locally versus the youtube.com video player. Okay, so let's show you how I do it. There's a command line hidden in here that I use to download a video. You get the URL of a YouTube video and then you run this command with it. Okay, so let's say I have downloaded this video. How do I run it? I double click on it. It starts with assembler. Okay, and it's in compact mode. Compact mode meaning Control-C this thing. Video compact mode. So I don't really need any toolbars, menu bar, status bar, etc. when I'm trying to follow a YouTube video. Okay, maybe the fonts are not readable, so make the window a bit larger, like this should be more than enough. And then I say that you should have at least 1080p resolution for your monitor, so that excludes laptops 14-inch. 1080p on a 15.6-inch laptop is minimum. in order to be able to do two things at the same time. So both see the my screen recording and follow along and do whatever I do in the screen recording. Okay, so I usually work by having different things on the right hand side versus the right half of the screen versus the left half of the screen. So my right half of the screen, I call it doc from documentation, and the left half I call it work. Okay, and you should do whatever I do in the YouTube video. Open the YouTube video in your video player. In my case, this is SM Player, and make it use the entire right half of the screen, which is doc, which is the Windows key on your keyboard plus the right arrow key on your keyboard. So the Win right shortcut in kde Plasma, this thing. So this is Win left, uses the half left of the screen, and Windows right arrow key makes it use the right half of the screen. Okay, and in the left half of the screen, in the work area, you do whatever I do. So I say open Kate, okay, you open Kate. I say open console, you open console. And then in console I write Kate space tilde slash dot config slash kdsrc minus build rc and then ampersand, and then you do that. Source space tilde slash bash rc. So you follow everything that I type in and all of the applications that I start in the left half of the screen. Okay, and in MPV and SM Player I use the keyboard shortcuts. So this keyboard is the lower letter O, which toggles the level of on-screen display. Okay, so O1 hides the on-screen display totally. Once again, I don't know what it does. Once again, it shows just the current time. And the fourth time, it shows also the length of the screen recording and the total time and the percent. If you have on-screen display enabled, then when you play pause, you will see when you place this pause, press the space key on your keyboard, you will see that it actually has started playing. You will see the the white triangle icon. If I press the space key on my keyboard again, it shows, where are you? Well, I can see that it stopped incrementing the current time. So it remained at 31. Okay. So space once pauses, space a second time plays, pause play. Okay. And then for seeking in the future and back in the video, so scrolling in the video, I use the keyboard arrow keys. So right jumps, I don't know, what's that, 20 seconds or something. Right arrow key jumps a number of seconds in the future. Left arrow key jumps the same number of seconds in the past. Okay, and the seeking is instant because the file is downloaded locally. Then up arrow key jumps 1 minute in the future. Down arrow key jumps 1 minute in the past. And then there's page up, which jumps 10 minutes in the future, and page down, which jumps 10 minutes in the past. So it's really fast for me to get back to where I was. Okay. I play the video, I see that in the screen recording something is being done, and then I pause the video using the space key, and I do in the left hand side of the screen whatever is shown in the video. So let's see what this would require. So page down until I get to the start of the video, and here it shows a web page. Not really needed to I don't really need to start a web browser and navigate there. I can read the email from here. Okay, then it says I should open a web browser and go to kde.org. Let's do that. Okay, so it says kde.org. I did that, and now it opens the hamburger menu, this thing, and says get involved. Okay, I unpause. Development once, development twice. Let's do that. Development once, development twice. Next. What does it say? So there's operating system hardware requirements. Okay, and then it runs step 1. So let's read those. There are Linux operating systems which are better suited for kde-src-build, and this is the list. You make sure you're using one of these, either in a virtual machine or on your hardware machine, in order to set up kde-src-build. Okay, and then you go to step 1, which is this thing. I'm on Ubuntu 22.10, so I need to run this thing. Okay, then it says I should run this at step 2. Okay, I copy this text here, shift click, Control C, then it starts a kate, so I start a kate, I paste that thing in, I go back, I don't know what it did, okay, so it copies, not that easy to copy. Okay, opens a console, which is the terminal in KD, makes it use a quarter of the screen, makes Kate use a quarter of the screen, and then it pastes. Okay, and it actually wants to run the move command, so that's why it deletes the rest of the command. Okay, and runs this command, right click, copy, and then paste. Okay, you still can edit the command line in console after you paste it. The command doesn't get executed automatically. You will need to press the enter key on your keyboard when you like the command line that you want to run. Okay, what does it do then? Then it goes to the next part. So this thing, Control C. I'll go Control C in here. I don't want to destroy my kde-src-build install. Okay, it pastes again in Kate. Okay, so you follow along whatever is being done in the screen recording, in the video, you do in the left half of your screen. Okay, this is the way I tell people to follow along my screen recordings, my YouTube videos. Okay, and I would want, if I were in your place, to actually follow whatever I do there. So yes, you like some other IDE better than Qt Creator, but then use Qt Creator as I do to gain the knowledge that I have. Once you're a master of Qt Creator and of doing things in Qt Creator, yeah, you can expand and start using another IDE. But the first order of business is that you need to be able to help yourself, and you will be able to help yourself if you have my knowledge. So if you can resolve the problem in Qt Creator, also being able to resolve the problem in another IDE is a bonus points. But first is the base where you actually are able to do this thing in Qt Creator, or you are able to do it in an orthodox file manager such as Crusader. Okay, so it might seem that whatever I do is my personal preference. Do exactly what I do, even if it's my personal preference, and then you will be able to help yourself. Once you're able to help yourself, you can then choose to not use a orthodox file manager. You could use a plain shell terminal. Okay, so these are the shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts for SM Player and MPV. People hate to create a Qt an account on the Qt Framework website. Don't be that guy. Or if I do go to the Qt Framework website, go there. If I do create an account, do create one. If I download from there, Qt Creator, do that. Okay. So once you know how to follow my YouTube videos, let's go over the actual algorithm for starting programming for KDE. We start with the step 0, where I do not know how to help people start programming if they do not know how to program at all. So if you did a bit of Python programming or a bit of bash scripting, if you're a sysadmin, but not a Windows one, which only clicks through the graphical user interface, but one which actually, I know, has used Docker or Terraform or, I know, PowerShell, bash scripts, DevOps, etc., or front-end HTML designer-ish, you know, JavaScript, then yes, I know how to help you. So if you have a bit of background in programming. If not, if you do not know at all how to program, then I have no clue how to help you. Okay. The entry point to start programming for KDE is the wiki page. Okay, this wiki page does two things. Helps people start programming for KDE, and it's the procedure for setting up KDE src-build. Okay, I have a screen recording which is recommended that you watch at this point, which is Start Programming for KDE tutorial for beginners. From @nmariusp. Okay, and there's a search button in here where you start typing Start Programming. Okay, this video, Start Programming for KDE tutorial for beginners. Do watch it, it's important. The next step is to create online accounts. So you should be a bit more professional. Don't use 10 different names for your accounts, use just one. And don't use interesting nicknames that nobody can remember, like, I know, Lord of the Berries or something. Actually use your preferred first name. Okay, so I give an example in here where if your name is actually Walter John G. Mayberry and you prefer to be called Walter, not John, out of your two first names, then you would want everywhere to see the name Walter. In all of your accounts, in metrics chat, in your merge requests, such that everybody knows that your name is actually Walter. Okay, so you'll need to create a email account. I suggest you use Gmail. In Gmail, very few email accounts are actually available. That's why you will need to come up with a complicated email account name. Okay, so I go with Walter, which is your preferred first name. And then I surround that thing with parts of the other names. So J for John, So it starts with J for John, then it goes Walter, and then GM for G Maybury. If this thing is not available, then you could go with J Walter GMA or something. So just keep Walter and then some parts of your other names. Okay? The address will be at gmail.com. So why is Gmail better than other alternatives? Well, it supports all that you want. It has high availability. It can ingest tens of thousands of emails per day. Don't do that. It has an associated Google Drive, an associated Google Docs. It's what very many people use, and it's well supported, and you know how to, you will find answers to your questions on the internet. Okay. This email account will be another email account. You will have different email accounts for your day job, for your personal life, etc. This is the only email account that you use for your open source contributions and KDE contributions. You cannot create an email account that's just for your KDE contributions, because you will see that, not really wanting, you will contribute to many other open source communities. For instance, you will end up creating a Gmail account, a GitHub account, a GitLab account. You'll contribute to other libraries that are used by KDE. You will contribute to other projects that are aligned with the Qt framework or the KDE community. So these things will happen. Okay, so you have your preferred first name and initials from other parts of the name. You will be able to use this Gmail address for creating user accounts. You will have many user accounts, online user accounts. The first thing that you create using your email address is an account for bugs.kde.org, which is the official issue tracker for the KDE community. This is an instance of the Bugzilla open source software. Then you will create an account for Qt.io in order to download the latest version of the IDE Qt Creator. Then, using the same name, so jwaltergm, you will create accounts on identity.kde.org, on the website matrix.org. Then, using your identity.kde.org account, you'll create an account on another website which is called invent.kde.org, which is KDE Community's GitLab on-premises installation. That requires two-factor authentication. I suggest you use Google Authenticator. You'll need to create SSH keys. You'll need to have that part of the key locally in order to be able to write to your GitLab git clone. Okay, we use Matrix or IRC or for communicating between the members of the KDE community. Okay, there's actually bridging between IRC channels and Matrix rooms. Okay, so I suggest after you create your matrix.org account, which uses this name, that you join the KDE community space, and from there you will be able to see how many other rooms, matrix rooms, exist which are related to the KDE community. This is how you will be able to answer questions like, is there a room for Kirigami? What's the name of it? Let me join it. By going to the KDE community space. And there's a list of rooms and a search bar. Okay, then, because you're a new contributor to KDE, you should join KDE-welcome, KDE new contributors matrix room, And then, because you're starting to program, you should also join KD development, so KD-devel matrix ROM. For starters, I suggest you use the best matrix client, which is the one offered by Matrix Upstream, which is their web app. So use it in any web browser. Okay, and after a while, you might also create additional online accounts, such as one on Reddit, where you join /r/kd. You might join the mailing list kde-devel. You might create accounts on github.com, on gitlab.com, and maybe on other forges like the one from Free Desktop, the one from GNOME. Okay, so with this we finished the part where we create online accounts. Next, you cannot really contribute to the KD community if you do not know how to use Git, how to use a terminal, a Linux shell. You're going to use a Linux operating system, so get familiar with that. How to install packages on your distribution. What's the Linux distribution that you're going to use? How do you configure things in your Linux distribution? Okay, and I really suggest that everybody learns the C programming language, and especially the hard part, which is pointers, because the language that's most used by the KD community is C++, and you'll see a ton of pointers there. You will allocate things with new, you will have references, const references, pointer to a pointer to a pointer, and other interesting things. So you will not, or function signatures, complex function signatures, or functional, all of these build on you knowing the C programming language and especially pointers. Okay, once you know C and pointers, you can contribute not really knowing much of the C programming language. You could do very small targeted commits where you fix small things which don't really require that much knowledge of C++ metaprogramming templates, inheritance, OOP, etc. So this is a thing that will take you months and months. So you should do this thing in parallel while you're doing as many merge requests as you can. So that's your first thread of actioning. You do merge requests or you do wiki commits. So you output something. You're not just wasting time. You create output, which is merge requests or wiki edits. And the parallel thread, which you should invest a number of hours per week, is that you learn these technologies. So Unix, command line, Linux distribution, Bash, or whatever command line shell you use, Git, C programming language, C++ programming language, Qt, QML, KD frameworks. Okay. I have a number of YouTube screen recordings for this. I have one for the Unix command line. I have one for how you can learn by following the book Thinking in C by Bruce Eckel. The next chapter, the next step is hardware. So you will be compiling hundreds of KD Git repositories, and the source code will mostly be C++. So compiling C++ requires hardware, takes a lot of time. Some modules take a lot of RAM also. And if you have better hardware, you will not lose time. So I, for myself, did buy hardware. This way, I'm not wasting time. Day after day, there's tens of minutes that I gain by having better hardware. And this thing, for me, is well worth the money. Okay. So you will use the Linux operating system, okay, either on your hardware machine or in a VM, so not in a Linux container. The CPU architecture should be x86-64 because that's what your Linux operating system will use. If you have a computer that does not have such a thing, or it cannot run x86-64 Linux VMs fast, you're going to again lose time. Okay, or you could use two hardware machines, one where you have your best computer, I don't know, maybe your mobile laptop, and then one which is the build machine that you keep always turned on, sitting nicely under a desk, and then you connect via the remote desktop protocol to it. That's also a possibility. You don't have to use just one hardware machine. Okay, so I suggest that you have virtualization, hardware assisted virtualization. So some Intel i3s do not have such a thing, so get a better CPU. Don't do spinning hard disks for your main storage, use SSDs, NVMe is even better. You will need at least 250 gigabytes of space, and in this case you're going to use a Linux virtual machine for a 250 gigabytes SSD partition. If you're going to do dual booting with another Linux operating system or with Windows, then I don't know how you're going to do it, because you will want to have, so if you're booting in a Linux operating system on your hardware machine for contributing to KDE, you will also want to install things that you have on all of your computers, such as all of your web browsers, all of your chat applications, all of your social media applications, etc., etc. And really fast, that machine will get crowded, and 200 gigabytes of space will be, maybe not enough. And then you will not have access to your other main operating system by booting into your Linux operating system on your hardware machine. So do think really thoroughly, do I want a virtual machine or do I want to dual boot? Dual booting is not always the best idea. So if you have a hardware machine that you can delete everything on it and install just your Linux distribution just for KDE development, that's okay. But the moment you have dual booting, you have a main operating system which is, let's say, Windows 10, and then you're doing dual booting just when you want to contribute to the KDE community to a Linux operating system on the same hardware, then you will this rebooting will be jarring for you, and you will regret not having some of the amenities that you have on your main operating system. Maybe you will not have the same access to the same email accounts and to the same social media accounts, so you might lose events, or maybe you will not have access to the same amount of games that you play. So do think about that thing. If you really want VMs, then 8 gigabytes of RAM will totally not be enough. How could you use 8 gigabytes of RAM, create a virtual machine, install KDSRC in there, and build many KDE Git repositories? How much RAM will you assign to that virtual machine? 4 gigabytes of RAM. Then the hardware machine will only have 4 gigabytes of RAM. How will you be able to open web browsers in your host operating system? You will not be able. So 8 gigabytes of RAM, in my opinion, makes it impossible for you to use virtual machines. and that forces you to use Linux on your hardware machine if you only have 8 gigabytes of RAM. I suggest you assign at least 8 vCPUs to your Linux virtual machine. And then there's the usual hardware that does not play well with Linux or with other software that's available on Linux operating systems, such as NVIDIA GPUs, GPU switching hybrid graphics, exotic Wi-Fi cards that have their own out-of-tree Linux kernel driver, high color monitors. With high DPI you will hit many GUI bugs and glitches. Okay, so if you do not manage to have enough RAM, then again I cannot help you. So if you have only 8 gigabytes of RAM and you're on a very small SSD, a laptop, and you're running Windows, then how can I help you? You need to create a Hyper-V virtual machine there. You'll not have enough RAM for your web browsers, so everything will be extra painful and extra slow. And if you don't have enough space on your virtual machine's virtual hard disk, you'll not be able to build. I know, so get snappy hardware, please. Okay, then to the operating system, either on your virtual machine or on your hardware computer, you will need to install a Linux operating system that is better supported by kde-devel. So not Windows, not macOS, not the BSDs, but one of the better supported Linux OSs. You might go with Arch and maybe Arch derivatives, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, which is a rolling release distribution, KDE Neon, which is a distribution from the KDE community, or the Fedora KDE Spin, or Kubuntu. For Kubuntu you need the latest version, so 22.10 in my case, or if 23.04 is stable enough, then use that. Okay, and I have screen recordings for each of these operating systems. So I say, if you use Arch, this is how you create a virtual machine running Arch, this is how you install Arch inside, this is how you install KDE inside, this is how you set up kde-src-build. Okay, so do watch at least the screen recording for your distribution, the Linux OS that you have chosen. Okay, if you have Windows on your hardware computer, that's not a problem. Maybe you have important applications there, and maybe you want your Windows operating system to run all of the time. Maybe I know you have messaging applications for your day job, or your VPN from your university or something. So it's okay to keep using the Windows operating system, but that will force you to use a virtual machine for contributing to KDE, and that's not a problem if you have enough hardware. Many people use Windows Home, so I suggest to these people that they upgrade to Windows Pro. That's me, totally my suggestion. If you use Windows Pro, you can, for instance, for a while, disable Windows updates. A thing that I do not know how to disable on Windows Home. So when you're running your Linux virtual machine, you don't want the hardware machine, the host operating system Windows, to start installing updates, or to start updating Windows Defender, or to, you don't want your virtual machine to be subjected to any antivirus software. So do make sure you exclude the virtual machine files from your antivirus. Okay. As virtualization software on Windows, I recommend Hyper-V, not VirtualBox. So VirtualBox is a cross-platform solution. It's easier to explain to people but never as fast as Hyper-V. So I'm all for more, as much speed as possible. That's why I go for Hyper-V on if my host operating system is Windows. Okay, I have a YouTube video for that. The next step, so in here you already have Linux, one of these distributions, installed on your hardware machine or on a virtual machine. It started, KDE is installed there because we're installing Fedora KDE Spin. We're not installing Fedora Workstation, which uses GNOME. So this is also really important. While you install your Linux distribution, make sure you select to install KDE. In OpenSUSE Tumbleweed installer, it asks, do you want to install KDE Plasma or GNOME Desktop? And you select KDE Plasma. KDE Neon comes with KDE Plasma pre-installed. This comes with KDE Plasma pre-installed. This comes with KDE Plasma pre-installed. So make sure that at Linux install time you select KDE Plasma. Okay, really important. You should not install a GNOME operating system and then from there add additional packages until KDE Plasma starts somewhat working, because there's all sorts of incompatibilities. There's Qt 5CT and other packages that are incompatible with KDE Plasma. And maybe you forget to install Plasma minus what's that? There's a package for making sure that the KDE applications use the Plasma minus integration, that one. Okay, so do make sure while you install your Linux distribution, you select KDE Plasma there. Now you're on your Linux operating system, and now we're going to set up a framework that allows us to build the many KDE Git repositories. So there's more than 400 KDE Git repositories. 80 of them are called KDE frameworks, and then on top of them you have applications, you have the KDE Plasma desktop, you have Plasma big screen for mobile, which is a environment for TVs, and then you have Plasma mobile for mobile phones and tablets. So there's many KDE applications. There's Umbrella for UML modeling, there's for instant messaging, for Jabber, for IRC, for social media, for I don't know, media players, video editor, many KDE Git repositories. In order to build them, you need to do two things. One, you need to know the exact order of dependencies. So in order to compile this thing, which is the KDE calculator, you need to compile 20 KDE Git repositories from the KDE frameworks. And that will also depend on other 3 Git repositories, which are libraries. Okay, so you need to know exactly which is the list of KDE Git repositories that you need to git clone, and then in which order you need to build and install them. Okay. For that, we use kde-src-build. There's a procedure that I shown previously. So this page is the procedure for how you set up kde-src-build. You read this entire page plus all of the pages that start with this URL, such as there's this one, there's this one, and there's this one, and there's this one. Okay. And after that, you follow the procedure. So the procedure is is a series of steps. So it starts with step 1 of 1, step 2 of 6, okay, step 3 of 6. In here there's steps 4 and 5. So step 4 of 6, step 5 of 6, and then the last one, step 6 of 6. And only then you build kcalc, which is the KDE desktop calculator. Okay, so I have many YouTube screen recordings where I set up kde-src-build using various Linux distributions on various I also do this for VirtualBox virtual machines and for Hyper-V virtual machines. Okay, once you do this, the next step is to install the integrated development environment Qt Creator and learn how to open any KDE Git repository. So if you, after you build a KDE Git repository using kde-src-build, then learn how to open that KDE Git repository in the IDE Qt Creator, how to navigate source code, how to start a debugger, how to edit CMake targets, how to visualize the CMake targets, how to view the outline of a source code file. So all of the IDE things that you can do with Qt Creator, please do learn them. I have many YouTube screen recordings for this. The next thing would be to start to do merge requests. So don't lose weeks and weeks just reading upon things. Start from the very start by doing small merge requests. How do you do that? There's two ways of doing. There's you either build a random KDE Git repository, open it in Qt Creator, and then navigate the source code using Control-click to navigate the source code, or with a debugger with F10 step over, F11 step into, Shift F11 to step out. So you go over a large amount of source code, and then even if you're not a programmer, you will see issues there, like comments that are not really in English, comments that are not valid grammatically, assignments that are not getting used, local variables that are declared and never used anywhere. Then in Qt Creator there's additional analyzers that can find issues. So there's this screen recording, easy KDE contribution using clang, clazy, cpp check. So all of these have buttons inside of Qt Creator. Open a random KDE Git repository in Qt Creator and then press that button. It will show many warnings, especially for KDE Git repositories that get a small number of merge requests per year, like, I don't know, KDE Games or KDE Utilities. Or if you find a KDE Git repository that you didn't even know that it exists, maybe that has a small number of end users, maybe that has a large number of build warnings or static analysis warnings. So do fix those. Okay, then I collect the ideas of what you can do in order to create a merge request easily. Ctrl-A, Ctrl-V. On this page, on the easy page. So there's G++ compiler warnings. You can see them while you build using kde-src-build. You can see them while you build using Qt Creator. You can not use G++, use clang++, which is another C++ compiler instead of G++. You will see different build warnings. Then there's clang tidy button in Qt Creator. There's CPP check button in Qt Creator. There's additional static analyzers. I do suggest you download PVS Studio and give it a try. It will find many issues. And then there's another static analysis tool which is called kde-devel. So this also has a button in Qt Creator. Another static analysis tool which is called Alan Winter's Crazy. So follow the procedure and fix as many issues as you can. And you should create a merge request for the that KDE Git repository. There's a procedure how you do that, and I suggest that you do really small merge requests, like you should fix just one compilation warning or just one static analysis issue. That's usually you editing just one line of source code. Do a git commit where you say exactly what the static analysis tool, what error it gave. So static analysis tools have very explicit messages in the warning. It says, in this file with full path, at this line, there was an if instead of a while, and go to this URL to find more details. So do paste all of that warning inside of the body of the git commit message, and then do a merge request. So change just one source line of code, do just one git commit, and then do just one merge request. This way your merge requests will be way easier to be merged, they will be way faster to be merged, and I suggest that you don't do more than 2 merge requests per KDE Git repository, because you will want all of your merge requests to start from the remote origin master. So it will be remote origin master, and from there you start 2 different merge requests, and then you wait for how much time is needed such that both merge requests are either merged or closed. And then after a number of weeks, you can return to the same KDE Git repository and do 2 more merge requests. Okay, but there's 400 Git repositories, there's no need to do more than 2 merge requests per month on the same KDE Git repository. You do 2 merge requests and then you change to another KDE Git repository. Okay, so I suggest you do a large number of merge requests. This way you're using your time efficiently, and you can brag, here are my results, you can show me your results, I can see if you start doing a large number of merge requests, like 2 merge requests per hour, I will be able to see you, I will be able to see your progress, you will become visible to me. Even if we don't talk in advance, I will see your merge requests, and I will know that you started recently contributing to the KDE community and you're doing a good job. I can see your outcome, your output. Okay, so this is the end of procedure. Once you've done a number of merge requests, then you're not subject to the algorithm for starting programming for KDE. You already started programming for KDE. You already know all there is to know for people that start programming. You will get to more advanced topics. So, thank you.